Arsenal's game was mad. United's game was, well, I mean, we'll get on to that. I'm sure, Christian, I'm sure you've got something you want to say to me about that 1-1 draw with Wolves. But I do want to start with the Arsenal game. Because I had it on, I was watching the United game, being depressed and crying. But I had the Arsenal game on, kind of on mute next to me. And it just looked, every time I looked over at the other TV, it looked like you were playing some of the nicest football I've seen you play so far this season. Is that pretty much the best way to sum it up? Is that it was just fluid, easy connections, despite the fact that you're missing Rice, and I've seen some comments on Gyökeres. Don't know how he was in the game, but I've seen Jamie Carragher apparently wasn't a fan. But I want to get the lowdown from you about just how good was that Arsenal game.
It wasn't good for 90 minutes necessarily. It was a tough first half. They were in the game. I think Onana in their midfield was really, really good. And obviously before the game, we had the news that Declan Rice was out about 4 hours before the game, which kind of knocked us all back. Wasn't the news that you want to hear. We've had loads of injuries this season, but we've been able to get through it because we've got a deep squad. So, yeah, when you hear that news that probably your best player, your most consistent player is out, it's never good. And you're going into a game where you're playing against probably the most informed team in the league, or definitely the most informed team. They've won 11 games in a row.
Oh, yeah, 11 on the bounce is mad.
Yeah, they've got players that are consistently performing. They've got a very good manager who I respect. Even though he didn't shake Arteta's hand after the game. So that's definitely questionable. I don't know why he'd do that. He said he was cold. He can't wait around. If you see the clip, it literally has a little glance and goes down the tunnel.
Have you seen his post-match interview? How vexed he was afterwards. He was like, no, I'm so happy. I'm so happy with the game. So happy.
I don't know what he's doing, man. Like I've always respected Emery. I think he's a good coach and I liked him as a person. But when you're doing stuff like that, man, like it's just childish. Like, what are you doing? Go and shake the guy's hand. Be humble in victory and defeat. Like you were waiting for his handshake after you beat us in the last minute at Villa Park, and Arteta shook your hand. You lose comprehensively on the night and to the better team, and you just walk down the tunnel. I didn't understand it, but anyway, yeah, we had the news about Declan Rice, which obviously wasn't good, and then you can't really use injuries as an excuse anymore as an Arsenal fan because the squad is deep. Apart from Rice and I think Calafiori, we had 9 out of our first team out there. So it was still a strong team. I was on the starting 11 with Robbie, Lee and Marty. And I said, I still expect us to win this game. I predicted 3-1. I thought we'd create chances. If we won the game, we'll come down to whether we take those chances or not. Because we've been creating loads of chances. Everton, we obviously won it 1-0. Should have been 2, 3 or 4. Crystal Palace, we had so many chances, ended up drawing 1-1 and got through on penalties. Against Brighton the other day, so many chances. Just kill the game off, and we don't. They get a goal back, it's 2-1, and it's a nervy last 20 minutes. So I was hoping it wouldn't be similar, but I knew we'd create enough. And yeah, the first half, I know you said you didn't watch it, so for anyone that didn't, if you just saw the scoreline, you'd think maybe it was comfortable. But it was 0-0 in the first half. They had a couple of chances. They opened us up on transition. Morgan Rogers got in a couple of times. Ollie Watkins had a big chance that he scuffed at the near post. There was a time where Onana was running through and Saliba did really well to cover, and Onana ended up diving and they ended up with a corner. So there were a few openings for them. A couple of chances for us, maybe half chances. Gyökeres had a header where it comes over Lindelof's head. I think you've just got to anticipate. You can see that Lindelof's not going to win the header. Put it far post. He doesn't. He misses that chance. And then a lovely one where he gets across the front man, makes a great run. And he just gets too much of a contact on it. And it goes kind of wide and over. And if he just gets a little bit less of a contact, the pace is already on the ball. It probably goes in. So, yeah, it was a half of fine margins. And then from then on, from half time, there was only one team in that game. And I said this on the stream on AFTV because a lot of the chat before the game was about Emery versus Arteta, right? Me and Laurie were going back and forth. He was saying, Arteta, Emery's the better manager. He's been there and done it and blah, blah, blah. And I get that. He's won trophies and he's had a longer career. But for me, comparing Arteta and Emery is like comparing Saka and Theo Walcott and saying, well, Theo Walcott scored over 100 goals for Arsenal when he's won this many trophies. And it's like he's had a whole career in the game.
Like some managers, I do really think about this when comparing managers. Like some managers just suit certain types of clubs. Like you've got Pep Guardiola, for example, like, and Jose Mourinho, they suit the elite clubs, don't they? Like they suit Real Madrid, Barcelona, Man City, Man United, etc. You've got the managers who suit relegation battles, and this is with no disrespect to managers, it's just what they're good at. Like Sam Allardyce, Tony Pulis, and co. Like, there's a reason they circle around, and like currently Sean Dyche at the moment now, kind of teams looking to get from the bottom and upwards. And Emery's one of those managers who suits kind of the level,
second
like
tier.
the team trying to, like the team's trying to break into the big six. Someone like Aston Villa, someone like Newcastle, etc. Like Villarreal. I think it was Villarreal. He won 3 Europa Leagues in a row. Was it Sevilla? Yeah, but every time it was
won it both, I think.
But it was every time he would win the Europa League, get into the Champions League, come third in his group, drop back to the Europa League and win it. It's where he was, and he's excelling massively at raising the floor of these clubs. But
he's doing an absolutely brilliant job at Aston Villa. Dylan, in no way am I trying to disrespect the guy. This isn't disrespect. I agree completely. This is just me saying that for me, it's his level. I know what he is as a manager. He was at my club.
That's his bag. Yeah? That's what he's good at.
Exactly. Yeah. It was right for him to leave, even on himself, right? If Unai Emery saw him, and this is no disrespect again, but if he saw himself as a top coach, an elite coach, why would you take the Aston Villa job? They were in a relegation battle when he took over. Yeah, I think it was Gerrard had just been sacked, who didn't do a good job at all. And if you see yourself as top tier, right? If you're Harry Kane leaving Spurs, and a relegation battle team come into you, never go in there. You go into Bayern Munich or someone that can win the Champions League. Same with Emery. If his next job after Arsenal, and you think you're that elite manager, why are you going to go to Villa? So that's how I see it. Maybe I have disrespected, but after the way he didn't shake Arteta's hand, maybe he deserves a bit of disrespect. So, yeah, like I said, 2 teams in that changing room at half-time at 0-0. Both had the chance to go on and win that game. And one manager did. One manager went out and scored, his team scored 4 goals in that second half. Gabriel as well. So good to have that guy back. His first start in...
So funny that
since before the international break. What a colossal defender he is. He's absolutely quality.
Because I'm a very big FPL guy, right? So I've got me and my mates, we've got our FPL chat, and every game week, once the fixture start, there's always hundreds of messages rolling in that chat. And one of my friends put in a message saying that Gabriel is the Erling Haaland of centre backs, and I thought that is the perfect way to sum Gabriel up. I was like, if you talk about FPL points, just goals, the inevitability that he is, it's his first start back, first goal you score, Gabriel, like from a corner. It's very, very Arsenal, quite, I think, poetic. But I want to ask you about Gabby Jesus and Victor Gyökeres. Because Gabby Jesus came on, and the goal he scored was just beautiful. It was such a lovely finish. And Gyökeres, with the best will in the world, like, for those of you who've been watching Live at 5 and stuff, know that, especially when me and Laurie are on, he always tries to goad me about Šeško. So I always just snap back with Gyökeres and be like, what's going on? But is there a scenario here where Gabby Jesus should be maybe having a few starts or getting into the team? Because if he's scoring goals and Gyökeres isn't, and you want a base who should be playing off merit, should Gabby Jesus, especially with the way that he links with everybody else, and obviously Kai Havertz is also coming back as well, so he's someone else to consider. But should Gabby Jesus potentially be getting a start or maybe 2 or 3 starts like in the new year?
There's definitely an argument for it. Gabby Jesus is an experienced player that's won the Premier League 4 times. It's not like we're talking about some 17-year-old versus Victor Gyökeres, or even with Kai Havertz as a guy who's won the Champions League, German international. It's not like we're talking about some 19-year-old. Kai Havertz is an experienced international player. So is Gabriel Jesus. It's not like these guys are kids. There might be a world in the coming weeks or months where Victor Gyökeres finds himself the third choice. There could be a world where that happens. If you want to be one of the best teams, best squads in Europe, in the world, you have to at times play players on merit and on form. Eze's come in for 65 million and he's found himself not even getting minutes. Didn't come off the bench against Brighton. Didn't come off the bench against Aston Villa. Are we all sitting there crying about it? No, because we're winning games and we're top of the league. And while we're doing that, whatever the squad is, whatever the team that's put out there, if we go and win, I have no problem with it. If we're losing, and Gyökeres is starting up front and he's not performing, then I'll start having more problems. Then I'll start saying, you know what, give Jesus a chance, because when he comes on, he does this. If Havertz is performing, do you know what I mean? That's where I start having problems. So right now, if you said to me, Jesus is going to start against Bournemouth, I'd say, well, he probably deserves it. He did more in 15, 20 minutes How long did he play last night? 20, 25? I don't know.
13.
However long he came on for yesterday.
Yeah, 13 minutes. 13 minutes, like 8 touches. Lovely goal. Won a few duels, couple of defensive contributions as well. I'm just looking at his stats here. For 13 minutes, he was a quality cameo.